Kamal Haasan's much-awaited film Indian 2 has hit the screens. While it's too early to comment on the box office success of the film, what's remarkable is that the filmmakers are still betting on the veteran actor to strike big with both the audiences and critics. Kamal Haasan turns 70 this year. How do you explain the phenomenon called Kamal Haasan? Joining me in this discussion is Lata Srinivasan, film critic, and my colleague Anthony Rosario. Welcome to the News9 Plus show. Anthony, you're just back from the theatre. Yeah. First impressions of Indian 2. You're the only guy in this building who's seen both Indian 1 and Indian 2.
So when I watched Indian 1, I was like, okay, Indian 1's this film that my late father would just love, right? That is the kind of film that...
Before your time.
Yeah,
yes.
Before my time. Essentially before my time. Yeah. And I was wondering, okay, Indian 2 to really work now, of course, we'll only get to know about it later. Yeah. But for it to really work in terms of a story, it has to really adapt itself to 2024.
Absolutely.
And I think that it has done wonderfully.
It has?
It has done wonderfully.
Right.
Again, the main concept, the tenet remains that, okay, this is this anti-corruption crusader called Senapati. Yes. Senapati still remains the same person. In fact, supposed to have aged over 27, 28 years, but younger in spirit now.
Right.
But nevertheless, those issues remain. But those issues let's see the issues that they talk about. They talk about corruption in job recruitment, they talk about loan apps and this, that.
Yes.
So I think in terms of issues, I think they've more or less adapted to modern day issues that plague common citizens. And there's also, this time, the common man, which is, I'm forgetting, R.K. Lakshman's Common Man, who's actually features very prominently in a cartoonish format in this funny too.
Yeah. Aam
Aadmi, yeah.
Lata, you watched the movie, you've watched Indian 1 as well. So as you can see, it's made a connect with Gen Y here. Anthony loves the movie. What were your initial reactions on the film? Were you expecting a lot or?
Well, I expected, I have a very different view than Anthony's. I expected, Shankar to adapt the film to 2024. But his core focus is again corruption. And, when I spoke to him, he said, in Indian, he tackles corruption in Tamil Nadu, but in Indian 2, he tackles corruption across India. I think they had big ambitions, but the story, didn't meet those expectations at all. And that was quite unfortunate.
Right. I think it's also, a reflection of the changing nature of the film business, Lata, from the mid-1990s, when you could make a film like that and only cater to Tamil Nadu versus 2024, where you have to release your film all over, across India and in the global box office as well. You have to make a film that resonates with, from Mumbai to Chennai to Kolkata.
I think the focus still largely remains more or less Chennai, but of course they try to make it pan-Indian. Of course, when there's a segment where they're trying to call back Senapati, of course I don't want to reveal too much, but then that also has a pan-Indian appeal. So it's not limited to Chennai alone. Another thing I found a little interesting, I don't know if I'm giving away too much
don't give away
at this point, is that again, we know that kahani abhi bhi baki hai.
Yes.
And if the ending is to be believed, then the story is still yet to be told.
So now franchise.
There is now an Indian 3, which is supposed to be a lot more spicier, which is going to talk about a lot of other things. So I think in response to ma'am's commentary on the film, I would say probably there's a lot more beyond corruption that could come up in Indian 3.
How interesting. Senapati film franchise, in the works. But Lata, moving on from Indian 2, this phenomenon called Kamal Haasan, who was literally down and out 3 or 4 years back, and he's now staged an astonishing comeback. He's a part of Lokesh Kanagaraj's Loki-verse. He's in Vikram. He's the main villain in Kalki, which you sat through. And of course, he's got a number of other movies. He's coming back with Mani Ratnam. He's teaming up with Mani Ratnam after more than 3 decades. What is the secret sauce that Kamal Haasan has been consuming, Lata?
So I think one of the most important aspects about Kamal is that he's he constantly learns. He constantly wants to push his boundaries. And when technical aspects are concerned, he's brilliant because his knowledge of cinema far exceeds than many of the directors or actors that he works with. And I think that is his biggest strength, because he knows what is what as far as cinema is concerned. And of course, as an actor, he's undisputed. And I think the same holds for Amitabh Bachchan as well. He's a brilliant actor. And Kamal has adapted with the times.
Yes.
Now many of the roles in his earlier films were far ahead of their times. And even today, what Kamal tries to do is he's 70, but he wants to keep pushing himself. So he wants to do better roles. He doesn't mind aging.
Yes.
When he was 40, he played Senapati, who was 70.
Right.
So I think that's what makes him unique. He doesn't, there's no box you can put him into. And that's what really makes him unique.
Absolutely. There's no box you can put him into. And Anthony, because I've been watching Kamal a lot longer than you have been, I can tell you that the man is unputdownable. He would come in, every movie he'd come in a different disguise or a different getup, a different character, especially in the Kamal Haasan's golden age of the 1990s, when you had, of course, Indian was one of them. But the interesting thing about Kamal Haasan is that, as Lata put it, is that he's a student of the craft of filmmaking. He's also a director, he's a script writer. And the ultimate tribute, I think, to Kamal Haasan was, Lata, you'd remember this, when Quentin Tarantino actually took that manga comics kind of thing that he had done for Alavandan, when the characters thing, when he imagines his flashback, it's all shown like a manga comic strip. Quentin Tarantino used the same format in Kill Bill 1 and 2.
So
and he said that I saw it in this thing. Yeah, guy is literally a film industry, one-man film show. How long do you think Kamal will go on at this pace, Lata? You think you see another Amitabh Bachchan, who's still going strong at 82?
No, absolutely. I think Kamal will never stop, making cinema till his last breath. I think that's what he lives for. And he came into cinema, you must remember, at the age of 6.
Yes.
So that's all
Kalathur
he's
Kannamma.
ever known. Yes, and that's all he's ever known throughout his life. Cinema has been his life professionally as well as personally. So he will never step out of it, given the fact that he is into politics. Even then, his heart is always in cinema, though he wants to do good for the people. Even in Indian too, if you see, there are a lot of political overtones. Cinema is something he will never ever give up. So we can see him till the very end on screen.
But the question then remains that, of course, Indian 1 and Indian 2, there's a vast difference in 27, 28 years. How easily will the audience, because the audience has completely changed, complete paradigm shift.
Right.
How welcoming will the audience be to a person like Kamal Haasan? I'm not taking away the credit that is due to him. But again, times have changed. So I think that's a big question. If we're talking about Kamal Haasan, even beyond this franchise in other roles, then I think that's, of course, I think the interesting thing here would be to see the numbers that this particular movie, Hindustani 2, makes.
We don't know, it's too early in the day, but he's definitely made an impression on me. And Lata, we've all got our Kamal Haasan stories. I want you to tell me your favorite Kamal story, and then I'll tell you mine.
Well, actually, there are just too many. But, I think the best Kamal story, I think, would possibly come from the fact that, his work with K. Balachandar.
Yes.
Balachandar, and he, Kamal said, my father is my guru because he's the one who brought me into cinema.
Right.
But Balachandar molded the person that he, who he is today is because of K. Balachandar. Right? He was his mentor, his father in so many ways. I mean, the discipline, what I think, without Balachandar, I don't think there'll be a Kamal Haasan. And to me, that is the strongest relationship between a director. He did 30 odd films with him.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
I think that is who Kamal Haasan is, who he is today because of K. Balachandar. And I think that's very significant.
Absolutely. Kamal Haasan, the actor who's like the Duracell bunny.
You were supposed to tell your favorite.
We're completely out of time, but I'll quickly tell you that since you wanted it. Well, many years back, he did this movie called Alavandan.
Right.
At that time, I interviewed him and I asked him that, Kamalji, Hiram is one of my favorite films. I noticed that you used two weapons in that, the Walther and the Mauser, right? Two German weapons. So why did you use them? I mean, because I'm a gun nut, Anthony. Not hidden from you.
Yeah, of course.
And his response stunned me. He said that I wanted to show my characters drift fascination with fascism. And these were weapons of the German Empire, Nazi Germany. These two pistols that he used. ATD, attention to detail. There's a lot Kamal can
has
teach
to give it to Mr. Haasan.
You have to give it to him. He is
I
one
hope the
of
box
a kind.
office
Truly.
does.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, Lata Srinivasan, my colleague, Anthony Rosario. Indian 2, Kamal Rising. We'll be watching that very closely. Thanks for watching.